What's up, guys? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. In the previous videos, I've been working on this beautiful 1999 Jeep Cherokee that I picked up for $200 with a lot of motor noise. So I naturally just jumped right on the marketplace and found the cheapest 4-liter engine closest to me. Supposedly it had low miles on it. So I threw an engine in here and knock on wood, we've been running and driving ever since. But I had a lot of requests to tear down the old motor and see what the culprit was, what went wrong inside of that old 4-liter, because those motors supposedly have a great reputation of being pretty well bulletproof. So without any further ado, let's head back to the shop and see if we can't tear that thing down and see just what went wrong. And lastly, before I forget, if this is your first time joining us, my name's Matt. Welcome to Diesel Creek. Alright then, here we are back in the shop. This is the original to the vehicle, as far as I know, 4-liter that came out of that Jeep. And the Jeep, in pretty much every other regard, looked like it was pretty well maintained in its early life, and maybe a lot of little things started going wrong as it got older, and the guy I bought it from just didn't fix them, or didn't have the time or money or skills or whatever. But I mean, the frame and everything, the drivetrain, all seem to be in pretty good shape. This motor doesn't, how are you going to tell if it's been abused? You just don't know. So this thing should have 176,000 miles on it if it is original to the vehicle. And I guess we're going to go ahead and pull it out in the middle of the floor here and start ripping into it. But before we start the teardown, I want you guys to go down in the comments there and tell me what you think has gone wrong. I heard a lot of guesses in the first couple videos about the Jeep when I was doing the motor swap. So I've heard everything from these had bad pistons in them, so the piston skirts would break off, which I think that's going to be my bet. Something with pistons. What else? I've heard rods. I've heard heads. And I don't think this is that 031 head or whatever it is. There's a certain series of head on these 4-liters that was well known for cracking. So I looked before, I didn't see that number anywhere, so I don't think it's the ones that are prone to cracking. Anywho, let me know down in the comments what you think is wrong with this engine before we get into it, and then you can go ahead and edit your comment afterwards and see if you were right. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and get this thing sat down here. I would like to put it up on an engine stand and make life easy, but my engine stand's still out at the farm. I don't feel like going to get it. We should be fine to do it like this. All right. Well, I got her sitting down on the floor of the shop here now. While I had it hooked up to the crane, I did go ahead and drain the oil. Oh, buddy. Take a look at this. Well, yep, that tells us something. What's crazy is the oil did not look bad. I don't understand that. When I pulled the dipstick, the oil looked fine. There's the oil. Welcome to the party, bud. Now I've got to decide which barrel I'm going to put this in. Do I put this in the oil barrel or the antifreeze barrel? We do have a slight jump on our teardown here, since I had to steal the intake and the exhaust manifolds for the replacement engine, as the ones that came on this engine were slightly different. Some of you guys told me that I could have adapted them pretty easy to make them work, and that the other intake has better airflow characteristics for more horsepower, but you know, she's really just not built for horsepower at all, so I'm not going to worry about it. It was a lot simpler and easier for me to just zap the old parts onto the new engine and be done. But anywho, some of you guys will probably remember whenever I did pull the intake off, the intake was slapped full of milky looking oil, so it was getting coolant introduced to it somehow. And underneath this cover, we may have our answer as to how, but we might not either. So the intake was full of milky oil, all kind of nastiness, and of course the intake ports look about the same. The exhaust ports, though, look pretty decent for the most part. A good bit of carbon. This last one, number 6, though, it does have a little bit of oil around the valve stem. So, not sure what's going on there. Let's pop this valve cover off and see what it's got to tell us. You guys ready to see what's behind door number 1? Crusty. Smells a lot like burnt oil. It's definitely pretty sludgy. A lot of thick build-up-y just sludge. I'm also noticing on the valve cover here, back here on cylinder number 6, we've got an exceptional amount of sludge buildup in there. Kind of has that milky flavor to it, you know. So we've got some more suspicions around cylinder number 6. But we have a good spare valve cover. I guess now's the appropriate time. We'll go ahead and zip off our rockers here and get ready to unbolt the head. I say it all the time. If you don't have a cordless impact in the shop, you're just throwing your time away. These things save you an incredible amount of time. And this is just the regular old 1/4-inch hex impact driver for like screws and stuff, you know. I just run the 3/8 adapter in it and it does amazing. So it doesn't matter what colors you're poison, whatever you want. They all work great and beat the heck out of it using a ratchet. Oh, lovely. Oh man, I wish you guys could feel the film that is on these things. It's almost like a rubbery buildup. It's not good. I don't know what the deal is with that. The sludge coming out of the bottom end, obviously you guys saw the oil. It's not good. Bad news bears for this engine, that's for sure. Next, we're going to go ahead and yank the head bolts out here. Now, when you torque down a head like this, you usually start at the center and work your way out. That way you torque the head down evenly and you don't warp it. So taking it off, if you're worried about damaging your head, if you're going to reuse this head, you're going to want to do the exact opposite. Start out here at the edges. Maybe. Well, we'll have to get a ratchet. Unfortunately, she doesn't quite have the gumption. These are some pretty good sized bolts. So anyway, we'll get a ratchet and break these loose, working from the outsides inward. Choo, buddy! Them are on there. Man. Holy crap! Them bolts are in there now. There we go. man. Oh. Yep, I think that was my socket going bye-bye. Sure enough, just split the old Craftsman socket right half in two. Now what? Guess we're gonna have to break those loose with a wrench. Dang it. There we go. I actually bent the wrench a little bit, but it worked. And I'm not too worried because Craftsman and stuff, you know? One thing I'll say working on this Jeep has taught me, I need to expand my 12-point socket library. But I actually had the proper socket in a 1/2-inch drive. It was a snap-on even, and I broke it trying to change the U-joint the other day, and have not found a snap-on truck to get replaced yet because of the Christmas holiday season. There's another one. Hey-o! Okay, I just realized I was going to take the head off. I just realized this accessory bracket's got to come off before we can get the head off. Okay, now the head should come off. Last chance to enter your comments down below to let me know what you think scuttled this engine. Let's see what's behind door number 2. There it goes. She's broken loose. And... ho-ho-ho! One of these cylinders is not like the other. Who had complete and utter piston failure? Let me know down in the comments. Oh man. Yeah, that's probably why she didn't run right there. I'm willing to bet. So there's what our bore looks like down inside of here. You can see where the connecting rod here has been cranking into the side of the bore. It's got some pretty deep grooves in there. Does not look good. It's pretty amazing that all that piston, I mean, it clearly had to break up and go down inside the bottom end here. Pretty amazing that it didn't wipe out the rest of this motor and that it was able to run as long as it did. So I think it's safe to say that's where our oil was coming from. It does remain to be seen as to why the coolant was in the oil though. So perhaps we will keep digging and find out. I just solved our coolant mystery. I flipped the connecting rod over to the other side here. You can see down here the connecting rod from rubbing actually wore through into the water jacket and let all the coolant in. So pretty much lights out for this motor after that. It's not rebuildable. It's not like we have sleeves here to push out. So she's junk. So another intriguing thing we got going on here. This is cylinder number 5. We've got some dents in the top of the piston here where something has contacted it and made an impression. It feels like there's a piece of debris right here that is lodged in the top of the piston, and we have the exact same thing on piston number 1 here, but we don't have it on 2, 3, and 4. So not sure what caused that. Maybe something got sucked into the intake somehow. Who knows? That if that's the case, that could have helped lead to the failure on cylinder number 6 here. Well, you know, I figured we came this far, we might as well flip her over and pull the oil pan off, take a look under there. I want to see that piston, or what's left of it. Before I forget, I wanted to show this head. Aside from a couple little teeny dings and a broken plug, really the head looks fine, perfectly reusable, so we'll definitely be saving that. I would still have to check it for flatness. I you know, it could be warped. Really seemed like I had to work hard to break those head bolts loose, but that doesn't mean it's warped or anything. And lastly, what's behind door number 3? It is a big old mess. There's your problem right there. Well, there you have it, guys. I really don't see a point in tearing this thing down much further. It's just a pile of carnage here in the oil pan. That's all of piston number 6 you see laying down there. So we know the block's junk, and I'm sure the crank isn't looking too hot. I just don't think it's worth tearing down. I'm sure that there was a good bit of metal shavings, you know, pumped through there. The crank could be savable, but there's just too many of these engines floating around to even mess with rebuilding this thing, in my opinion. For the application that I'm running this engine in, I would just go ahead and buy another junkyard engine with some miles on it, rather than try and rebuild this thing, because likely the engine will outlive the vehicle. The engine I have in there now, I have all the faith in the world in. I'm sure that it's going to outlive the vehicle. So, yeah. There's the autopsy of an engine that's widely regarded as bulletproof. I am going to save on a few pieces of this engine. I'm going to go ahead and keep the oil pan in case I smash mine on a rock or something. I'm going to go ahead and keep the 90-degree adapter for the oil filter, as well as the valve cover, and probably a few other odds and ends. Nothing much. So things like the oil pump and the water pump, you know, you can get those things for a dime a dozen, so it's really just not worth saving them. I'd rather just buy a new one and have the peace of mind knowing that I have a new one installed. Real quick, I just want to shout out to somebody too. I'm not sponsored in any way, but a guy contacted me and said, hey, I want to send you some soap we sell. So this Power One heavy duty hand soap, my man Greg over there at One Pack, he said this stuff sells itself, and I said, we'll see. I've tried a bunch of hand soaps and really never found anything much better than the old lava soap bars. This stuff is amazing. So my man said he just wanted to hook me up. He didn't want any kind of shout out or anything, wasn't looking for a plug, but I told him that this stuff worked good, I'd do it anyway, and he didn't lie. It works great. So I'll put a link down in the description if you guys want some good hand soap by an American company. Help out small businesses in these crazy times. That's about 1,000% better, eh? I'm actually allowed to touch stuff in the house now. Well, that's a wrap, guys. I'm going to go ahead and finish letting this thing bleed out before I drag it outside and throw it in the scrap heap. I got everything off of it I wanted. So if you like greasy old blown up engine blocks and videos like this, encourage you guys to hit the old thumbs up button and the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Later.